All right, we got a guest with us today, all the way from York, PA. Yep. We got Conquer, Matt Pappas.
Yep. How you doing?
Good to have you here, bro.
Yeah. It's super cool to be down here, man.
Man,
Love
it's
it.
awesome. It's awesome having you here. And as we're recording this is birthday week for MA. Mm-hmm. So we got Conquer coming down. Wife's coming in.
Yep.
Tomorrow or today?
Yep. She's flying in tomorrow afternoon, so we'll pick her up and then go to the dinner tomorrow night.
So this is awesome. Get you down here, get you to the birthday dinner, and do a podcast together. And Conquer is Patch Class 40.
Right on. Yep. Shout out to Patch Class 40 right here.
Custom shirts and everything. Wearing it.
Yes,
you
right here.
Wearing it.
Yep.
CTF 40.
Yep. Shout out to Ice for the design and everything. So,
dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's super cool.
Fix your mic there. It's underneath your shirt.
Oh, there it is.
There you go.
All right.
Man.
Perfect.
That is so cool. Well, we're going to dive into your story and some of your background, your past, and what you're up to now. But start off just telling us what tribe you're in. Or tribes you're in, and then share with us how you got into Men's Alliance and who brought you in, what that was like when you first tried it out.
Yeah, so I am one of those guys where when you look on my profile in Men's Alliance, it's got a whole bunch of tribes listed.
All the PA tribes?
Yep, just about all the PA tribes, I think. My home tribe is Servant Tribe, which means out of Living Word in York. So shout out to Servant Tribe and everybody. I also go to Rampart Tribe to help support my buddy Yak, who started that tribe just about this past July.
Yeah.
So it works out really well. But yeah, Servant Tribe's my home. I'm a Devo chief there. It's great leadership, great group of guys, just life-changing, just like everybody else experiences every week. So as far as how I started out, let's see, summer of 2024, I was working at a local gun shop, gun range, part-time gig, and a guy had started there, and he started, talking to me about Men's Alliance. He's like, dude, hey, we do this thing at LCBC where we, get up on Saturday mornings and we go do a workout in the freezing cold and in the summer heat, and then we talk around a fire. And I'm like, yeah, okay. Like, yeah, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
So we just kind of talked, and I laughed, and he kept bugging me every Saturday when I would see him. He's like, dude, MA was great today, and we did this and we did that. Like, good for you. Yeah. Good. And so he months went by and he'd asked me, he didn't bug me, but just kind of kept that little, pebble in your shoe, as we say. And I'm like, finally, I just gave in. I'm like, fine. Like, will you just shut up if I go? And he said, yeah. So we laughed, and I showed up at Eagle Tribe at LCBC East. And it was like, I think it was August, so it was still pretty hot out. And it was a Saturday morning, and I showed up there, and there was probably 50 guys there, like usual at the time. Just a big tribe. Massive tribe. So got there, and everybody was, hey, how you doing? They gave me the PA handshake that only PA guys do with Men's Alliance, right? Yep. So I learned that really quick. And so I got there and kind of was like, this is kind of cool. Initially I was just thinking, this is kind of neat. People are friendly, they're outgoing, they're just greeting me. And, I haven't seen any of these people ever, except Jake. And of course he was late that day.
Yep.
So, and his call sign is Apex. But so it was good. And we did the intros, and I was just like, wow, these guys are really buying into whatever this is here. So I was kind of like, they're all in with, the creed and the verses and all this. I'm like, all right. So Warrior was running the workout that day, and I think he did the Devo too. So the workout was, you give the whole thing about, modify and don't die and all that. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. And Eagle at the time, it probably still is, lots of young guys, lots of old guys. So we did the workout, and I promptly overdid it, tried to keep up with everybody. And was hurting by the end of 30 minutes. I was already hurting. And then Warrior did the Devo, and of course it was super intense. And I'm like, what is with this guy? Just in my face and talking.
He's an intense dude.
He's an intense dude. And I'm like, I'm kind of scared of this dude. So it was, so I was just kind of, and everything he said hit home, but it's just super intense. And it made me think about a lot of the stuff he was talking about, and he gave kind of his story about some of the things he had been through. And so I left the tribe, and I got home, crawled up the stairs, took 4 Advil, and took a hot bath for an hour because I literally could not move. I told my wife, I said, I don't know what happened to me, but I may need to go to the hospital. So it was rough. And, after that, I learned to modify. and not try and keep up with everybody. But that first day, I'm like, I gotta keep going, and 5,000 push-ups and all these burpees, and I'm like, it's not good. So
what was the workout? Do you remember?
It was lots of lunge walks and lots of push-ups and some kind of like push up and slap the partner with the hands and crunches and just all the usual stuff you typically do, and tire slams. Every time you did something, you run to the middle and do a tire slam and go to another station and
gauntlet type stuff.
So we did that, and I was way overdid it. So I learned real quick, and I admittedly still overdo it sometimes because you just do.
Yeah.
But so that's how I got started. I got hooked on it from there, and I went back the second week, and more and more guys were coming up to me, and I'm like, I might be onto something here. So super cool.
That's such a common story of being invited for a long time and being like, no, thanks, I'm good. Really, like the way you described that too from Apex it's the worst sales pitch ever. Hey, you want to get up real early on a Saturday morning and go work out in the freezing cold?
Yeah.
No, thanks. I'm good.
Yeah, he was like, we do this Devo around the fire and everybody opens up and talks. I'm like, I'm not doing that either.
Oh, that's the scariest sounding part. Like,
so, I mean, like I said, I gave in just to kind of shut him up. And we laugh now today about it. But yeah, he's a super cool guy. But he's the one that got me there. And it was a total God thing. And since then, him and I are tight. We go to the same church. He works in the kid ministry there. I serve on the tech team, and our wives are tight. We go out to dinner and stuff regularly. And his daughter's just a sweetheart. So I thank God that he brought Apex around. At the time, he was just a coworker at a gun range, shooting a breeze, shooting guns every Saturday morning, hanging out, and kind of morphed into Men's Alliance.
Yeah. That's such a great thing that you just went once, right? Like you just try it. And I think that's the thing, man. It's like if you can get a guy just, no matter how resistant he is, no matter how, bad of a sales pitch it sounds like, if you just try one, that's the way to do it, man. Just come try one with me. And if you don't like it, I'll leave you alone. But the majority of guys, once you go once, you get it.
Yeah.
And you're hooked. Yeah, I did invite a guy one time. This was kind of like in the very early days. There might have been Bravo. There might have been 2 tribes, but there was one or 2 tribes, and I invited this older guy from church. And he had always helped us. He would always like rent a wood splitter for Men's Alliance, and he would get out there and help us split wood and stuff. So I was like, man, you got to come out here. Come join us once, come join us. And he came one time to Alpha Tribe.
Yeah, I remember.
And as soon as it was over, as soon as the Devo ended, as soon as we created, I was like, so what'd you think, man? He goes, oh, awful, just terrible. I'm never coming back.
Wow.
And, he goes, I probably won't be able to walk for a week or 2. He was like, that just destroyed me. And I tried to tell him, well, you don't have to go so hard. You can throttle back, but he was like, not for me. But I just respected the fact that he came and tried it.
Yeah.
I was like, well, hey, I'm glad you came once. I never bugged him about it again, right? So I think if you can just get a guy to come once, guys like that are very rare because most guys are more like you, and they're like, there's something to this.
Yeah.
Right? There's something to this that I need in life, both the physical and the spiritual and the brotherhood. But good for him for getting you to show up early on a Saturday.
Yeah, he did. And yeah, it was that whole thing where I was never like, I grew up in the church. My dad was, he was an elder and a deacon and served on the board and did all the church things. I was there twice on Sunday, every Wednesday, every mission conference, Wednesday nights, the whole 9 yards.
Yep.
Mom was in the choir and a deaconess. So I grew up in the church and went to Christian school at York. So I had, the Bible pretty much shoved down my throat for like the first 18 years of my life.
Yep.
And then, after I graduated, I'm like, I'm good for a while.
Yeah.
So I kind of went whoosh, that way.
Yeah.
And didn't run away from God, but just kind of was like, I'm just not going to walk towards him, but I'm not going to run away from him. So I rationalized that in my head as I'm still a Christian, but I'm just going to take a little break from church. Mm-hmm. And so the people I hung out with were all just people at bars and people at work and just not the kind of company that I keep now. And, Men's Alliance filled that desire to really connect with guys who were a good influence, guys who would encourage, and guys who would hold me accountable and kind of bring me out of my shell a little bit, because I'm usually the quiet guy. I don't say a whole lot. And Men's Alliance has definitely brought me out of that a little bit more. So, for sure.
Yeah, man. So now one of the things you do is coaching. So tell us, before we get into what you're doing now with coaching, tell us a little bit about how you got into coaching in the first place. Back your story up and tell us what role counseling / coaching wind up playing in your life to change your life.
Yeah, totally. So we'll go way back to when I was a kid. I don't really know the entire, like I'm between 5 and 10, living in small town Manchester, PA. My dad had retired from the Navy in 72, 73, like shortly after I was born. So we were living in York, and there was a family up the street that my parents knew well. The guy worked at the local car shop or the local Ford dealer, and the families knew each other for a long time, and they had a teenage son. And without going into a whole lot of detail, things started happening where I was your typical kid who just, back in that day, you got on your bike and you went outside all day in the summer and you ran around. You came back when it was dark, and all that kind of stuff. And so
Come back when the street lights turn on.
That's exactly what it was, right?
Yeah.
I got up in the morning and I had my bike and I met my friends and we did all the things you do and come back when it was dusk. And so doing all that kind of stuff even then. And the family's teenage son had a dirt bike, so I thought he was super cool. So he was always running the dirt bike around the field up from the house. And I remember riding down there and just kind of stopping at the edge of it and just looking at it and just, man, that dude's cool. And, the dirt bikes and the mini bikes and all the stuff. And I think he was probably 14, 15 at the time-ish. And first time he gave me he said, hey, you want to go for a ride on this dirt bike? And me being this kid, like, yeah, let's go. So started going down there regularly, and why I remember this stuff, I don't even know. It was so long ago. But started giving me rides on a dirt bike, and conveniently, let's just say, doing things you shouldn't do to anybody, much less a child. And me, I didn't really think much of it. I'm just like, I'm riding on a dirt bike, and I got this cool teenager who, was growing up and just me, a little kid getting to hang out with what I thought was cool, and turned into a lot of childhood sexual abuse, things that, unspeakable things that shouldn't happen to anybody, but much less a child. That went on for, I honestly don't even know how long, but I kept going back because I was afraid. And then there was threats to my family and threats to my family's dog and all kinds of stuff like that. So of course, me being a kid, I was scared to death not to say anything to anybody. So I didn't. So every day I go up there, whenever it was nice, I'd ride my bike up and he'd give me dirt bike rides, and we would, he would ask me to help him fix a tractor or work on a dirt bike or something in the shed away from everybody. So all those kinds of things went on for years. And I remember as time went on, I would just come home and run up the stairs, close the door, sit on my bed and just cry my brains out. My parents, what's wrong? Nothing. I'm good. Leave me alone. So, went on for a long time, and then school started, and I would still go down there on the weekends or after school, and just like, he had me hooked, line and sinker.
Yeah.
And couldn't stop it. And then eventually one day, I don't even know why, I just stopped going up there. Don't know when, don't know why. After that, never saw him again. And by that time, the damage was done. I was going to school. I was getting bullied. I was, grades were sucking. Like, just everything was going sideways. Very reclusive, sitting in my room all the time, just sitting on the bed or, playing video games on, at the time, or just doing nothing but staying in my room. My parents were like, what's going on? They sent me to counselors, wouldn't open up. Counselors couldn't get anything out of me. And then, so this went on all through, middle school, elementary school, getting bullied, beat up all the time, bad grades. I was the kid in school who, parents dressed me horribly and, had the bad hair, had super bad acne, way overweight, just, had a retainer, the whole, everything that...
All the things
that you would, that earmark somebody getting bullied. So that all through school, I had a learning disability, so I was in the special trailer every day. So when kids were learning, I was going to another trailer. Just all the stuff transpired.
Right.
Problems with food, problems with my weight, everything. And so all through school, all these problems. And then probably around 16, they sent me to another counselor. And at that point, I actually opened up to this counselor and kind of told her what was going on. And, for what it's worth, she promptly then told my parents. And they were, of course, angry and sad and scared and crying. And, what can we do? How can we fix this? And I'm just like, leave me alone. Let's not talk about it. Don't contact him, because I didn't know what to do with it. Like, I told his counselor, and then she told my parents. And so after that, at least they knew. And it didn't help me at all, though. Like, I suppose maybe in some retrospect it did help me a little, but it didn't change anything. Still had self-esteem problems, still overweight, the whole 9 yards. And that followed me into high school, graduation afterwards, like just picking the way, wrong relationships, codependent, not sharing, oversharing, just no boundaries whatsoever. And, then pretty much said, you know what? This happened 10 years ago at the time. I'm just going to forget about it. So I kind of made this decision. I'm just going to live my life and do my thing and pretend this never happened. And I compartmentalized it. When I was in therapy, I remember telling my therapist, I said, in my mind, there's a closet, and the bottom of the closet, there is a pile of laundry, and under that is a box with a padlock, and that's where all these memories stay. And that's where I compartmentalized it. As guys do, we, compartmentalize things. So that's where it sat for 25, 30 years. 2 marriages, 3 great kids out of it, but, 2 marriages, 2 divorces. And then I would say after the second divorce, I went to a therapist, and I was like, you know what, I got to fix myself. Like, something's wrong. My family's, nobody gets divorced. Everybody stays together. And I'm like, and here comes the black sheep, Matt, along the way, who's got 2 divorces, and, and just something's not going right. I got to fix my relationship picker, as I called it.
Yeah.
And so I talked with her. She was a great therapist, and we spent the first 6 months diving into relationships and marriage and kind of starting to heal from the divorces and pick my life back up again. And then she did, we were doing a little bit of a quiz, and something popped out about something, about something that happened when I was a kid. And I had this on my intake form at the time, but she didn't really, and, to her credit, she didn't push it right away because she knew I wasn't there. And then it came out, and we did this workbook called Courage to Heal, which was very instrumental. And then we spent the next several years, 2 to 3 nights a week, diving into all the childhood trauma therapy and the healing and the memories and the flashbacks and the tracking of all the stuff and where'd this come from. And she was huge in helping me get all this out of my head. And so her approach was, CBT and DBT and just and all this kind of stuff that was really helpful for me to talk it out. And that was life-changing for me. I went in there trying to fix my relationships and ended up coming out a survivor. Like, one of the cool things was the day that we started that, started really diving into childhood trauma, she sent me a little GIF, and it said, "You are a survivor," and that's amazing. And that's still on my phone today. Like, just
cool.
Realizing how cool it was that somebody recognized it and I was able to heal from it. So fast forwarding a little bit, short story long, went through therapy for years, kind of ran its course. And then I realized that I still needed a little more help. I wasn't deep in the whole trauma therapy, got to work through all this stuff. I was starting to feel a little more grounded, but I wasn't quite ready to go on my own and feel confident. And at that point, then I started latching on to Twitter chats, which at the time were a thing in like 2015. I don't know if they still are or not, but there was a person who was doing these Twitter chats for childhood trauma survivors. So joined those, and she would do a YouTube, and we'd chat on Twitter, and did this for a while. And over time, she needed help with her website and some social media, and I had experience in that. So I, kind of started doing some freelance work for her, and then ended up working with her as a coach for a while. So I was one of her clients, and she's a trauma recovery coach. And I was like, what is that? So, I worked with her, and she helped me take that next step out of therapy into coaching and, really moving forward in everyday life with it. And I was like, I could kind of get into this, because she took it to the next level and really helped me in everyday life of where I am now versus where I want to go. Of course, in therapy is let's go heal the past. So after that, I kind of working with her, and she launched a foundation for childhood trauma survivors, which I still work for today, helping her with her website and whatnot. So to circle back into coaching, I realized that as much as she helped me, I could help somebody else.
Yeah.
So I started a blog called Surviving My Past. I started a podcast, ran that for years, basically telling my story online, because I was silent for decades and it didn't help me.
Yeah.
But it's all I knew. And then when I started ending the silence after therapy and coaching, I'm like, I can help people with this. And I was like, if she can help me, I can help others. And so got my coaching certifications and started seeing clients on the side. And really kind of that's where coaching came from, was childhood trauma back 5 to 10 years old, suppressed it, therapy, coaching. And, here it is today, just working with a nonprofit, doing coaching on the side, and, just realizing how much guys in particular really just clam up like I did, because, out of fear, shame, the whole 9 yards. So
I think there's so many men that are in that place where you were, where they think they've got their trauma in that box under the laundry in their closet, and they think they're good. Hey, men. Thrivent is proud to support Men's Alliance's goals, and financial advisor Dr. Andrew Newman, call sign Sage, is excited to help tribe members and those they care about make financial choices guided by their Christian values. Faith is what fuels Andrew. Does it fuel you too? Call Andrew today at 612-246-0725 so you can take care of yourself and those you care about, including your local tribe and Men's Alliance.
I did. Yep.
Yeah. And that will work temporarily.
Yeah.
That's why we're able to compartmentalize. It's designed to be a temporary thing so that we can get through what it is we need to get through. Right. But it's not a long term. It's gonna come out.
Oh, yeah.
You can't leave it there forever. You can put it there in order to get through the day or the week or the month. Like, hey, I got to get through this stage of life I'm in or whatever. I can't deal with it today. Okay, but you'd better deal with it. It's gonna come busting out of that box. It's in there growing.
It is.
While you leave it in there, it is growing. And I think that your story very similar to mine, in that going to get counseling, to get help, seeing how much it changes our life, and then that realization that, like, I want to do this for others.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can take what has been poured into me and helped me and changed me, and I can do that for others. Part of my story as well. And then, of course, you worded it really well there, the difference between the counseling, moving forward to the coaching, the past versus the future. I love that, and I think that that's something that more men need to hear. And not everybody needs the counseling first and then the coaching. Some people can just hop in at the coaching. But I think, that whatever the situation a guy is dealing with, whether it's marriage or parenting or past trauma or even just goal setting, whatever it is, 90% of men can benefit a lot from just some good coaching, right? You just get some good coaching, and you think about, like, the coaching we all easily get for things like finances, right? Like, I need some financial coaching, right? Or I need some personal trainer coaching, right? And then when you kind of understand that, like, just like a coach helps in those areas, they also help with marriage communication or dealing with childhood trauma, all these different things coaches play an invaluable role in. And you were really blessed to have a great counselor. Yeah. And then a great coach.
Yeah. I truly was. I think at the time I was like, man, I'm so lucky to find this person, because it's not uncommon to search for a therapist and search and try a bunch, and you're like, this just sucks. I can't find anybody. And so at the time I thought it was lucky. Of course, it was a God thing for sure, but at the time I was not seeing that. But in any event, yes, she was instrumental. She knew exactly how to push and when to push and, what to do. And I remember one thing, we text every once in a while, and I told her, I said, I think if I could just cry one time, I'd feel better. Years in therapy, never cried. Ever. Like, I was like, and I think she kind of took it on herself to be like, all right, I'll make you cry. And because I remember her saying that, I guess she probably figured she could, because, it naturally happens when you're healing stuff. Never did.
She just made you
still to this day
make you watch The Notebook.
But yeah, like, she tried everything. We did all the workbooks, all the worksheets. I was tracking all these flashbacks I had on a sheet that was like an Excel sheet a mile long of these flashbacks every day, and nothing. Like, I got angry, never cried. So that's kind of like a thing of, She, and I think for a while there, I thought maybe I'm not doing this right. Because I'm like, I'm not healing right because I didn't cry. But, of course, that's,
Did you ever cry or no? Did it ever happen?
In therapy, no. I mean, I've cried, when my father passed away.
Yeah,
there's been some things like that.
But like,
nope.
Some floodgate of the past or
Never.
something. That's interesting.
Challenge accepted.
Right. Good Lord, not here.
I think guys need to hear that, right? Yeah. Because you're thinking, oh, maybe I'm doing it wrong. There's something wrong with me.
I said that all the time. I'm like, am I not doing therapy right?
Not everybody has to cry.
Good question.
Not everybody has to do it the same way, right? And I think sometimes we get these notions of what we should feel implanted in us. A lot of times it comes from movies, right? It's like, this is what everybody does at this part of the movie, right? I've noticed this trend in recent movies. There's a little bit of a rabbit trail here. I didn't see this in movies when I was growing up. I didn't see this in movies as a kid. Now I see it in tons of movies and shows. And that is people throwing up when they see some sort of violence, trauma, right? And I'm like, what is going on with this? You don't throw up when you see that.
Right.
I've known a lot of people and seen a lot of stuff, and I've never thrown up, and I've never seen anybody else throw up. But it's like this. It's just an example of something that works its way into popular culture, and now people that see something horrific that they've seen all these shows and movies, they're going to think, something's wrong with me. I'm not even sick to my stomach, right?
I must be
fine.
A freak.
Yeah, you don't need to be sick to your stomach. You don't need to cry. It's like your reaction is your reaction.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? And so we get to thinking, especially as men, oh, I must be a monster. I've never cried.
Right.
It's like, okay, that's all right.
Yeah. It is. And since then, I think, there's been some messages at church that really hit me home. There's, we played a hymn at my mom's funeral, who she passed, just about, on December 19th. And so we were playing some old hymns she liked to do. And the same thing when my dad passed away years ago, we played on him. So those kinds of things, I would tear up a little bit.
You get emotional.
Yeah. I'm not tears flowing, but there's a little bit of, but I think that's one thing that I've always tried to bring home is make it your own. Don't worry about what somebody else does or doesn't do. Because, what works for you doesn't work for everybody else.
Yep. And,
I always reinforce that. I'm like, just because so-and-so did it this way or that technique worked doesn't mean it's going to work for you. It may. Yeah. That's great. Yeah. But it may not. And so don't come in with preconceived notions like we all do.
Right.
Of, I'm going to go step by step. And I remember telling her, I'm like, so if I'm here for about 6 months, will I be okay after that? And she just kind of laughed to herself and she's like, sure. But, therapy, coaching, there's no timeline in it. I've always been one of the big proponents of when you go to seek a therapist or a coach, you don't ever arrive to that I'm healed moment. Like I was looking for that. I'm like, where's my graduation? When can I ring my bell that I'm healed? And it's an ongoing, but you learn the coping skills, you learn how to live with it, you learn how to deal with it, you learn how to not hold it in anymore. Like you learn everything you do in therapy and coaching to realize that stuff is part of who I am, but it doesn't define me anymore. My past doesn't define me. In this case, it wasn't a failure, but I learned to not live in victim mode anymore, which was huge for me. But I had to do it my own way and go through my own process and realize that I may never cry, but that's all right. Man. And it's huge.
That's so big is that switch you just mentioned of going from victim mode out of victim mode. And you truly were a victim.
Oh, 100%.
Now, some people never were truly a victim and they stay in victim mode.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so you've got your situation legitimately a victim and still getting yourself out of victim mode. How do you do that? What was I know it's more than just, one simple answer, but what's some of the important mental shifts that took you from being victim to non-victim?
It was huge because I don't know that I didn't identify as a victim because I didn't want anybody ever saying to treat me differently. And, I didn't want anybody to know. So I never told anybody except the therapist that one time. And after that, I kept, quiet about it. So I was kind of living a victim mode in that subconsciously. I wasn't, outwardly saying, I wasn't blaming my childhood trauma for all my issues in life or my, marriages and all that sort of thing.
Did you ever blame your parents?
Oh, sure. Oh, 100%. Yeah, I blamed them a lot for letting me run around as a kid and not.
Yeah, you shouldn't have let me ride my bike.
Right. Yeah, all that kind of stuff, and I had to work through that. And, that was a big part of it, was how much do I blame them for, doing what every other kid in the 80s and the 70s and 80s grew up and riding your bike and doing all this stuff. So, but I had to go through all of that and work through it, which was huge. So, like I said, I lived in victim mode for all that time, but maybe didn't realize it was victim mode. As far as the biggest thing for me was ending the silence and not being ashamed anymore.
Yeah.
Like, when I started the blog at the time, the very first post was, just referenced, I'm a childhood trauma survivor. I don't know how this blog is going to go. I don't know what I'm going to say. I was using an alias at the time because I didn't want people to know who I was. I was afraid my family would say whatever. And so for me, it was having the courage to speak out and to not be silent about it, to not be afraid that I was going to be judged for it. And, so I found a home in the survivor community, as we like to call it. And it was online, so I was safe. Nobody knew who I was, where I lived. I had my alias, and I was writing and I was doing podcasting. And then I was like, you know what, I'm going to have my kind of end my silence moment. So I started doing some YouTube videos, and I was like, my name is Matt. My alias of Lyric at the time was gone. I said, this is Matt. I'm no longer Lyric. I'm a survivor of childhood sexual abuse. And then I started, connecting with therapists and authors and other survivors, and I had them on guests on my show and guest blogs and stuff. And so for me, it was being afraid, or ending the fear of being judged and really speaking out. And when you start to share and people come around you, yeah, me too. Yeah, I did, yeah, I felt this. Or, yeah, I've been through that. Or, I can't believe you're saying this. I went through the same thing. When you see that kind of stuff coming from random people all over the world, like just messaging you and saying thank you, that was huge. So for me, it was ending my silence, ending the shame of all the horrible stuff that happened to me. But, really learning that while I would never wish that on anybody. Like, I'm not glad that happened to me. Right. I'm not happy it happened to me. If I could go back and do it again, no. But God knew 40 years later that I'd be able to help some people.
Yeah.
And, I've told my story around the fire. And, I wrote about it, and I did podcasts, and I've helped people, and, they've said, just come up and say thank you. And, I may never see them again, but God knew that those circumstances, as horrible as they were going to be something huge. So he had a plan that I didn't know about, and something, of course, we learned as we went through Carry the Fire about, those things that happened to you. We don't know why. We don't know what the plan is. We don't know the reason, and we may never know. Yeah. But something good that happened decades later.
That's the perfect example of what the enemy means for evil. God can change it for his good.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What would you guys say the major difference is between a counselor or a therapist and a coach?
Go ahead.
No, you go.
No, yeah. So for me, I think the therapist was there to kind of take me, go back and heal the past and get me to the present. Uh-huh. That's how I really embraced it. Was I had to go back and uncover all that stuff that was buried in that locked box under the laundry in the closet. I'd open that up, that was safely tucked away for decades. And so we had to bring all that out and talk about it and write about it and just, process it all, and then get to a point where, okay, I'm not ashamed anymore. I know some stuff happened to me. I get it. But now where do I go from here? So now I'm stable, but I need help moving forward. Like, I need help with goals. I need help with planning. I can be a trauma survivor and still have rough days. And how does that affect me at work? How does that affect a relationship? How does that affect my relationship with food and, self-esteem and all the stuff? So the coaches really take you where you are now and help you move forward, knowing that the trauma stuff is still there. And you may, take 3 steps forward and a couple steps back, and you're still moving forward, but you're going to have those days where you're like, oh crap. Like, and you identify what those feelings are and why they're making you feel that way, as you work through as you remember what you did with the therapist, but then with the coach has said, okay, we're going to set plans and goals. You're going to do this and that, and we're going to work towards whatever you want to, with the understanding that there's going to be days where the trauma just goes, bam, hello, I'm still here.
Hey guys, just want to take a quick second to show you this really cool coin holder or coin dock that I got. Check this out. Boom. Look at this. There it is in focus. Sits on your desk. There you can see it. You get your call sign put in it. Billy Josephian, call sign Clutch, sent me this. It holds your coin. You can drop it out. You can take it out, you put it back in, puts it on your desk. This is a pretty cool thing for those of you who don't always carry it like you should, but you like to leave it sitting on your desk. There's your perfect holder from Clutch in 717 Tribe. It's pretty cool. He sent it to me. It's got my name engraved. It's got Proverbs 27:17 on it. Really cool. I ordered one of these for my son because his coin is never in his pocket. It's always on his desk. So I thought, hey, we might as well put it in a holder on his desk for him. So if you guys want Clutch, 717 Clutch, to make you guys one of these, I'm going to drop the link for his order form here in the show notes because it's pretty cool. Yeah, no, that was a perfect answer. Kind of the textbook answer, I think, is, that counseling deals with your past and coaching helps you plan and set goals and move forward to the future. That's kind of the textbook delineation. But in real life, in practice, it doesn't ever work out quite that clean cut. No. There's the correct answer, and then there's the how this works when you talk to people. And so it's not like when you go to get coaching, you're not going to ever talk about anything that happened in your past, in your life. That's going to come up. That's going to be a part of it. And, I think that's kind of part of being like, what they would call trauma informed, right? Like trauma informed coaching. Like the goal of this coaching session is not to go through all your past trauma. It's to plan your goals for the future. However, we have to do so in light of the trauma that we both acknowledge you are carrying and working with. So sometimes people go from counselor to coach. Sometimes people use counselor and coach at the same time. Yeah. During the same time period, during the same week, they're seeing their counselor, then they're seeing their coach. I had a coaching coach. He was coaching me on my coaching certification, and he was telling me, that's the right textbook answer, but it's not going to work out that way when you talk to clients, and that helped me. It kind of freed me to hear him say that, like, you don't have to keep it so rigidly compartmentalized of past and future. But one of the major differences between the two is diagnosing mental health disorders. So when you go see a counselor about your past, they're much more focused on diagnosis. Right? This person has a PTSD diagnosis, or this person has a generalized anxiety disorder diagnosis. So they're much more concerned about labels. Whereas a coach, we all got a whole ton of labels. All right, so what are your goals for the next 2 months, right? And how can we, very practical stuff. It's like, I found myself in coaching talking to people way more than I would have ever imagined about things like, how much are you sleeping at night? What are you eating? What have you eaten today, right? Sometimes you have somebody come in, I've seen this a lot, with younger people. They're coming in with anxiety. That's their presenting issue. They need help getting stuff done in life because they got so much anxiety. You talk to them for 30 minutes and you discover they haven't eaten anything today except for a box of nerds. They had a box of nerds for breakfast. They were up till 3 a.m. playing video games. And you're like, dude, you don't need like counseling. You need basic life skills. You need to eat some protein. You need to go to bed earlier. You need less screen time. When was the last time you went for a walk outdoors? It's kind of like these practical
You need
things.
to live in the 80s.
The 80s were great.
I tell them, get on your bike the 80s, and don't come back until the street light comes on. That'll fix your anxiety. Right. So a lot of I've discovered just through doing coaching is it's like, man, I'm talking about a whole lot of just practical life skill stuff, like exercise, fresh air, sunlight, sleep, protein, just kind of these types of things. And then friends, community, exercise, all these basics. When you get all of those big building blocks in order in your life, it's amazing how the anxiety, depression, and even to a large extent addiction will decrease when you just get the basics, right? Because sometimes we're leaning on those things just to cope because we're on screens, we're not sleeping, and we're eating crap.
Right.
It's like, well, of course your life is just completely upside down right now. So to me, that's been an interesting difference.
Yeah.
Getting into the coaching is, man, I'm talking a lot about just life skills. Mm-hmm. You know?
Yeah. I never really thought of myself as having anxiety. Like, I was just like, I mean, I never really identified with anxiety. And then when I started therapy, I was diving face first into every trauma recovery book and every self-help book. I'm like, and I remember my therapist saying, you got to slow down a little bit. Like, I jumped in like, I'm a survivor. This is amazing. What am I going to do? Read book after book after book and do all these courses and then take all the stuff and I learned a lot. And the one thing about anxiety, which is one of the things I specialize in, is you're right. Like, so much of it, when you realize how much of your daily life that you don't even think about, you're staying up all night playing video games. When I nerd out, I sit there with like a gallon of iced tea and a bag of Funyuns, and I go to town on a website. Like, that's what I do. And then I wake up and I get like 2 hours of sleep and go to work. And like, why am I not functioning?
Yeah.
So learning about that, and then with the people that I work with, talking to them about anxiety, and one of the big things that I try and drive home is that anxiety is a liar. Like, anxiety wants to tell you can't go to work, nobody's going to accept you, you can't eat that food because then you'll eat too much and then you'll gain weight again, or nobody's going to like you because of your trauma, or insert whatever you want. And when you start to call it out and name what that anxiety is and say it's a liar, and you start to identify that it's telling you lies to keep you stuck, for me that was like life changing. I'm like, wait a minute, if I just realize what this is and what it's doing to me, and then understand that anxiety wants to keep me stuck rather than me sharing and opening up, like, that was huge for me. So anxiety I never identified with much of anxiety. It's like, I don't have anxiety, whatever. But when I started diving into it, I'm like, yeah, I'm a pretty anxious person.
Yeah, that's so good. Anxiety is a liar. That's really well said. I've always say you got to do the opposite of what your anxiety tells you to do. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, their anxiety is like tremendously compounded by their career. Mm-hmm. A lot of people, like they're suffering from tremendous anxiety, and you're like, tell me about your job. What do you do? And it's just like the most anxiety producing
right. I'm like,
career.
Dude, you're making me nervous now. Like,
you're
stop,
gonna need to. You're like, listen, man. If I can just show you the end of the book now, right. You're not going to be able to rid your life of this anxiety and keep doing what you're doing. Right. Like, you're going to need to start considering a career shift. Right. And for a lot of people, that is the big game changer. A lot of people, they make the career shift and boom, they're like, well, I feel 1,000 times better. Yeah. That was the best thing I ever did. And when I was in it, I didn't think I could get out. I thought I was stuck in this, A career shift is not a small thing, but sometimes that thing is what's holding somebody back. So I wanted to just talk about how old were you when you got married at your first marriage?
Lord Almighty, 2021, honestly.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been so long. Yeah, we were like prom sweethearts. Got married, I was 2 years ahead of her, so I graduated and I was working for 2 years trying to figure out my life. Then she graduated and we got married that following summer, I think. So yeah, super, super young, everybody's like, don't get married, you're too young. And of course we were just like, nope, we're doing it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, while it didn't last, I have 2 amazing kids out of it that, I love to death. Yeah. But we were just young and we didn't know what we were doing, and we were always broke and just the whole 9 yards of all the struggles. My parents were buying us groceries. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do for a job. She was in school, and then we had, my daughter was a honeymoon baby. So right out of the gate, we were newlyweds and broke. Yeah. So we were married very, very young, and, just didn't know what we didn't know at the time.
Yeah. And then when was it that you started having that kind of realization or thought that my woman picker is malfunctioning? When was that?
It was right after like the second divorce. Like I realized something's not right here. Like what am I doing wrong that seemingly, well, and of course everybody was telling me both times, don't do it. Like you're too young or you're not ready. And me, no, I'm good. I got this, you know. And of course trauma is still locked down in the basement because I haven't talked about that yet.
Yeah, the box is still
there under the laundry. So it was after that, probably that summer, a divorce, filed for divorce like in the spring. And so I think it was 2013. So that summer I was like, maybe I should see a counselor. Like it's been decades since I saw that last one, and maybe I should just go see if I can get myself fixed. And I walked in the first day to the therapist and I said, Jen, I need fixed. That's what I told her. And she said, you're not broken. And of course, all the things we went through, but I was like, something is not right. 2 divorces. I'm the black sheep of the family. Like, I'm the one that's done everything wrong. Everybody else has been married 20, 30 years. My parents were married over 60 years. Like they just made it work. And then here comes Matt, screw up. And so, walking in their office that day and literally telling her, fix me. So it was just, I was at the end of my ropes. I'm like, I don't want to keep going through relationship, making bad choices, making the wrong choices. And, with just friendships, and hanging out with the wrong guys, hanging out in bars.
Picking all the wrong
people.
Guys and girls. Well, a lot of people never come to that admission that maybe I'm the problem, right? Maybe, if I keep picking the wrong people, you see this all the time, the guy or the girl, they just marry the same person over and over, right? It's just a different name, but it's the same type of person. And they think all men are this way or all women are this way, right? They don't realize it's them.
Yeah.
So one number that I'm curious about in your story is, how long was the gap between your second marriage ending and your third marriage beginning?
9 years.
9 years.
Yes.
And so I'm going to just guess there was a lot of work on you.
There was a lot of work on me. Right. Like, so I graduated high school, got married, divorced several years later, got married again, like 2.5 years later. So there was like maybe a 3-year gap in between the first and the second one. And then when the second one ended, it was 9 years. And that was therapy, that was journaling, that was a ton of healing. Still made a lot of bad decisions, like still hanging out with the wrong people. I mean, during that time I was making progress, but I was going to the bar. Like I worked third shift. So, when I got divorced, I had to move in with my parents because, I had somebody watch my kids. So I moved in with my parents, and of course I would get off work, go to the bar, drink myself into oblivion, come home, sleep, get up, go back to the bar, drink and eat some more, and then go to work again. Missing out time with my kids, making all the wrong choices in the midst of going to therapy. Like, so I was kind of doing this weird balancing act of I'm helping myself, but I'm still screwing up left and right.
Got one foot in both worlds.
Oh, totally. I lived that way for years, dude. Like I missed out on so much time with my kids, and it wasn't until years later when I sat down and I'm like, I am sorry. Like I was running up like a $50 bar tab after work and before work, driving to work, working all night, pounding NyQuil when I was sick, just as like, trying to work through that whole sleepy part. So then it would keep me going the rest of the night. Like I had all this rationalization of I'm going to therapy, but I need to work off that therapy by going and drinking. So I was living in both worlds, and it was not, it was just driving me, I had a car repossessed at the time, just everything's still going wrong, but I could see some progress being made over here, but I was still like 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, 3 forward, 1 back, just this all the time. And it wasn't until I recognized that, stopped the drinking, threw myself into really making better choices. Still wasn't back at church yet. Like I wasn't, I was in that hole of I'm not running away from God, but I'm not running towards him kind of analogy, which, at the time made sense in my head. But still just living in both worlds. And then when I finally was like, you know what, this is still not working. And I know what I need to do. And I needed to stop the drinking and stop hanging out with the people at the bar and make better choices. And I ended up leaving that job and, through a whole series of events of therapy and whatnot over the years. a coworker of mine at the time who had since moved away. We were friends, family friends and whatnot, and worked in the same building for a while. And then she had moved to Tucson with her husband and family for a work thing. And we lost touch. And then in 2021, she sent me a message out of the blue when my son was in the Navy and her son was in the Army. And she was like, hey, I saw, Jesse was enlisted in the Navy and, Alex is in the Army. You want to talk? I'm coming back home to visit my parents. Sure. Great. So we met for lunch and it was just like love at first sight. Like something was like telling me the day that I saw her, I'm like, I'm going to marry this girl. I didn't tell her that, but I'm going to marry this girl. And so we started talking and hanging out and getting to know her family and, found a good church. And then eventually, started serving in the church and Men's Alliance. And she's in, and it was a lot of, the journey has just been so up and down, and trying to live in both worlds does not work. No. I am sitting right here telling you, you can go to therapy and do all the good stuff, but if you're not making changes over here, you're just back and forth. You're never going to get out of it. Mm-hmm. And for me, it was, getting back into church after so many years and realizing, okay, now I'm ready for this. But it took me 30 years-ish, 25 years to really come back to realizing that, there's something better for me that's not in a bar. Mm-hmm. Then, there's something better for me than missing time out with my kids. And, being a father and being the husband and the leader that, God designed me to be is not hanging out in the bar, drinking myself into oblivion and then going to therapy and justifying it.
Right. It's like going to the gym, having a brutal workout and stopping at McDonald's on the way home.
Exactly what that is. Exact analogy of what it is.
Sugar Shack.
Yeah, you can't out-train a bad diet.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it took me a long time to get there.
So how long have you been married now?
3 years. It's amazing. Awesome. Yep, it's amazing. She's the love of my life. She's, she's found a home in our church and she loves serving in the cafe. I'm on the tech team. We've made friends there. A lot of Men's Alliance people. We've all just got connections. My wingman and his wife and my wife are all good friends. It's such a huge thing, but we are now not afraid to talk about God around our kids, some of whom are not necessarily believers. They've all been raised in the church, but they're not all living the life that, that they should. And so we lived for a while. I know I did because I wasn't living in the church anyways, but for her, it was, she was always a believer. She was raised in the church, but we never really, the kids went there, but we didn't really push it like we should have. And now it's when we talk to the kids, they're all adults and all grown up in their own lives. We're like, Men's Alliance this and LCBC that, and God spoke to me here, and this song, and so we're really trying to just kind of pepper it into our conversations a lot more, so we don't push them away. Because I know when people try to tell me go to church, I'm like, whatever, dude. Mm-hmm. I went to church for 18 years and school and all that, and I'm like, nah, I'm good for a while. I know God exists. I'm not denying it, but I'm just not really ready to go into that life again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And now it's so much of our lives revolves around serving and ministry. And just being around people who can hold us accountable and helping each other, it's night and day, 100%.
During that 9-year period there where you were just doing the work on you, it's easy for a lot of guys just see it as my woman picker was broken and now it's better. But you know what else was going on there? It was your woman attractor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Right. And so this is something that I coach guys on a lot is it's not just your ability to pick them. It's your ability to attract them, because the you that attracted your current wife was not the same you that attracted
not even
your first two. Right. And so when we take the time out from dating, stop seeing women, and just work on yourself and work on you becoming a better version of you, what happens is when you re-enter the dating pool a few years later, you're attracting an entirely different caliber of women that would not have been attracted to the old you, right? So it's easy for us as men to think about our picker, right? But it's a much harder pill to swallow that what really changed a lot is your attractor.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. And it's, realizing that the red flags, when you are in that dating world and you can, and you look for signs of things that before you either ignored or didn't know to look for, and you can say, wait a minute, I probably shouldn't pursue this anymore because I'm going to go down a whole rabbit hole I don't want to go down anymore.
You were picking the women that were available to you.
Yeah, basically, if you showed me the time of day and said hello, let's go out.
Yeah,
let's
that's
go do
my
that.
type.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, hi, how are you? Good. Let's go out on a date. That's what it was. Like, if you gave me the time of day,
Right.
sure, let's go.
Yeah. This one's talking to me.
Right.
Okay.
That's exactly what it was. Like, I'm sitting at a bar and she said hello. Sure. Yeah. You want to get? I'll buy you a beer. Like, let's go out. Like, that's what it was.
No, that makes a ton of sense. It's not uncommon.
No.
All right, so tell
How
us.
I got married.
That's totally not true.
So you're talking to me? All right, let's go.
So tell us a little bit about your current coaching that you're doing. You're offering to men.
Yeah. So like I said, I still am working with this nonprofit, and I've led a lot of group coaching, a lot of group support over the years, and just holding a space, as we like to say, for people. No judgment. Come as you are. Whatever you have in your past, no judgment here, no shame. So I did a lot of the group stuff for a long time, and now it's just trying to meet guys in a way that I needed to be met, and just like encouraging them, but not overly pushing them to just, hey, what's going on? How's your day? Oh, you said something here. Let's kind of go back to that a little bit. And just encouraging them to open up and to not be in that victim mode anymore. Like I focus on anxiety, but of course, I have some experience in relationship issues and divorces and whatnot. But my kind of anxiety is my jam because I realized so long how much it affected me when I didn't even realize it affected me. I'm like, I'm not anxious. Like, come on. Like, I can go to work. I can do my thing. I can hold a conversation. I'm not afraid. I'm not depressed, stuck in my house. All the stuff that anxiety and depression, the stigma or the kind of the stereotypical answer is. And I'm like, that's not me. But anxiety manifests itself so much in your everyday life. And when you start to pull it out and see where it's affecting you and be like, okay, let's take this. Okay, what can we do to work on this? And pick it apart little by little, and just encourage guys to really identify, really sit back and reflect, what's really going on a daily basis. Write out that, those bullet points in your journal. What happened today? Where's the trends? What can we identify? Is this coming from somewhere in the past? And so anxiety, that's kind of my big thing, is helping guys with anxiety, because I know that the training that I've had and the stuff that I've been through helps me relate to them, because I can say, yep, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. Still wear it from time to time because, you learn how to deal with anxiety. You learn the coping skills. You learn how much it affects you, but you don't live in that victim mode anymore, that just you blame everybody and then decide you're not going to move forward. So you just, go back to the drinking or whatever it was to cope with it.
Yeah.
So, coaching mostly around anxiety right now is kind of like, that's my sweet spot. So
Very cool. So if you're listening to this, and you didn't already know, Men's Alliance has battlefield coaching that we offer, which is go to our website, men'salliancetribe.com, click on coaching, and we've got a whole list of certified coaches. Conquer here is one of them. So you can reach out to Conquer, get coaching from him if what he has said today resonates with you, with anxiety, relationships, divorce, childhood trauma, all these areas that he's got tremendous wealth of experience, not only going through personally, but also counseling, also coaching, and now being able to help men in that. So you can go to our battlefield coaching, and we call it battlefield because those are all different battlefields that men have fought on. And there's other battlefields on there too, like financial or fitness, or all sorts of different battlefields. And you can find a coach who his expertise is that battlefield and reach out to him. So check it out, Battlefield Coaching. It's something we all need. I've had tons of coaching, tons of counseling, been on both ends of that, and highly recommend it. It's a game changer for just getting a little bit of outside perspective, outside direction, on some things. A lot of people can see blind spots in us that we can't see ourselves because we're neck deep in it, right?
Yep. 100%. Yeah, that's the great thing about coaching is you get that outside perspective of somebody who's been there, or they can latch onto something that you said or that you keep saying or that is in your journal that keeps coming up, and hey, let's talk about that and see how that affects this and how it affects that in your daily life. And so having that kind of accountability is huge.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have accountability, you're just living in victim mode again. You're just going to keep spinning your wheels, 1 foot over here, 1 foot over here, progress, backwards progress, and then eventually, when somebody to hold you accountable, did you follow through on this goal? Do we need to change this goal? Is this whatever it happens to be that helps you every day? Like, it can be life-changing when you really find a good coach who relates to you, who specializes in the areas you need help in, and to realize, hey, I could just use some real world help. Like, it's, there's no shame in asking for help. And I struggled with that for years. Like, I stay silent, nobody will bother me, I'll live. Well, it doesn't work out that well.
Yeah. You'll exist.
I existed, 100%.
Exist. You won't really live.
Yep.
Man.
Yeah, it's huge. And, Men's Alliance is coming to these tribes every week reinforces that, being around guys who can hold you accountability. I think accountability is one of the biggest things for me. These guys are, how you doing? Or, hey, I haven't heard from you in a few days. You all right? Or, I didn't get a text from you this week. How are you doing? These guys keeping me on task as much as I try and reach out to them just takes it to the next step for me to, even if I'm not in coaching anymore in terms of being coached right now, this is where I'm supposed to be able to help other guys as much as they help me every week.
Yeah.
And, getting around that fire and doing the workout, that's my next step in this whole journey for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Man, well, thank you so much for sharing your story.
Yeah.
Your story is it's a much tougher story than you tell, which speaks to how many times you've told it.
Yes,
right?
So many times.
You told a story that would be hard for people to tell had they not already told it 100 times. And I'm sure that when you told it for your first time,
scared to death.
And it's scary when you say your story the first time, but the picture that you gave us today was one of healing, right? And like if you're listening and you're like, man, I could never admit out loud on a podcast what he just said, realize, yeah, you could if you go through the healing that he's gone through. He didn't do it that well his first time either. So that is a snapshot of down the road. But, guys, if you've got that box, and I think most guys do, they've got some box with something in it in the bottom of that closet under the laundry. I just want to tell you, it's only going to get worse until you deal with it, until you pull that thing out, open it up, and take the time to do the work to fix it. And it hurts at first. It's like pulling off a bandage, where the scab is stuck to it. And you're like, I don't touch it. Just leave the bandage there. I'll just put on a clean shirt. I'll be okay. I'll make it through life. You won't. It's gonna rot and fester. And you got to go through the work. You got to expose that thing to some sunlight. You got to clean it out, and that's where healing begins.
Yeah, it does 100%. And that's, if there's one thing I could leave in terms of that, it's you don't realize how much it affects you on a daily basis, whether it's relationships, it's your job, it's your nutrition, it's your self-esteem, it's everything. Childhood trauma, it can tie back to that.
It's and you don't really connected.
Yeah, and until you go to therapy and expose it and get all the laundry out of the way, unlock it, open it up, and be like, you don't have to unlock everything at one time, but pick a little box inside the box and okay, let's work on this. And when that does, something over here is going to be like, wait a minute, I'm over here, let's talk about me. And all of a sudden, the little separators and a tackle box start to come out, and they all kind of it all comes together from childhood trauma, and you're like, okay, now it's not so bad anymore because I've exposed the lie that I was hiding for so long, that I was not worthy, or people weren't going to love me, or whatever, all the lies that the trauma led you to believe throughout your life and affected you so much. So yeah, just pull off the laundry, open up the box, and take one little section and just start working on it. That's really good. That's really good advice, to do it all at once. And then that also makes me want to warn guys,
contact a coach or a counselor. And open it up there.
Yeah.
Don't open this box up and dump it on your spouse.
Yeah.
A lot of guys do that because they're like, oh, I'll just tell her. She has no idea what to do with this.
Right.
And you'll make a bigger mess. So make sure you're doing this work with somebody who's ready and prepared and trained to help you sort through it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Conquer, thanks for being here. Thanks for sharing your story, and look forward to birthday dinner, but then all tribes will be working out together Saturday morning.
We are, absolutely. Yep. I'm excited. I came down here yesterday.
We'll get up really early and we'll go out in the cold.
Yeah.
And
I can't
all the
wait.
terrible
And then-
stuff that none of us want to do.
And then I'm going to, I think it's Rockwood Tribe tonight with 2911, who was in my class.
Oh, nice.
All right.
So I'm going to go do that, and then the birthday stuff tomorrow, and then the tribe on Saturday. So I'll be at like 4 tribes this week, which I know we don't push.
This is
We're going
MA
so
week.
many,
This is
but it's
MA
an MA
week.
week, so I'm making
That's
an
right.
exception.
Awesome. Thanks, brother.
Right on.
Sweet.
Men, I want to tell you about a great way to support this ministry. On the Men's Alliance support page, we've just created a brand new donor level called MA Nation. MA Nation is a way to support Men's Alliance for just $9 a month. $9 a month will help support the growth of Men's Alliance. As we are spreading across this country, we are planting over a dozen tribes each month. That's an entire region, right? Every 12 tribes is a region. Every 12 regions is a division. We are growing by an entire region every month. That means we need 12 tribe leaders and a region leader every single month just to keep up with the growth that God is doing through Men's Alliance. We need your support in order to keep this going, in order to keep up this level of support to all the tribe leaders and region leaders and division leaders and workout chiefs and devotion chiefs and the website and the podcast. $9 a month, guys. Help us put your money into the kingdom. Think about this. This is an opportunity for you guys to get your fingerprints on the ministry of Men's Alliance. We want to invite you to be a part of it with us. We want to ask, even if you're a little strapped for cash and the call sign level of $27.17 per month might be a little out of your reach, we get it. $9 a month or $108 annually will help further this ministry. If you can do that, go to our men'salliancetribe.com website, go to support, click on MA Nation, $9 a month. We want to recognize you. We want to appreciate you by giving you one of our new Men's Alliance donor hats. Really cool black hat with a leather MA patch on the front that we're going to send you as a thank you present just for supporting this ministry. $9 a month goes a long way, $108 a year. Just about everybody can spare it. You probably spend more than that every month on Netflix or beer anyway, so put it to a better cause, and that's Men's Alliance. Join MA Nation. We want you to be a part of this ministry, no matter where you live, even if you're a part of a tribe or not. By the way, let me tell you this. If you go to our tribes page and there's not a tribe near you, there's an MA Nation pop-up that's going to give you a chance to get our MA 30 free ebook. And that free ebook is something that I wrote. It has 30 at-home workouts and 30 real-world devotions in it so that you can be sharpened spiritually and physically, become the husband, father, leader God designed you to be, even if you don't live near a tribe. We want you in MA Nation. We want to give you that free ebook. If you support us at least $9 a month, we want to send you our donor hat. We're doing great things this year because God is bringing us the men, the support, the team, the families to keep furthering this ministry with either their time or their talent or their treasure. We want you to be a part of it with us. Go to men'salliancetribe.com, click on support, join MA Nation.